declare that the Constitution set out in a schedule shall be the new Constitution of Kenya.
Under the newly promulgated 2010 Kenyan Constitution, Article 27, Sections 1 and 3 emphasizes on equality and equal treatment for all in the political, economic, cultural, and social spheres, and further compels the state in Article 27, Sections 6 and 8 to take legislative, policy, and other measures, including affirmative action, to redress the marginalization of the marginalized groups. It goes further to direct that Parliament enacts a law promoting the representation of women, persons with disability, youth, ethnic minorities, and the marginalized groups. However, this is yet to be achieved. The reason why Action Network for the Disabled initiated the Inclusive Election Project, whose aim is to respond to challenges preventing the empowerment of persons with disabilities, acting as equal citizens and engaging in all levels of decision-making, both in the private and public domains.
Action Network for the Disabled is a non-governmental organization based in Kibera, where our main three pillars are on health, education, and employment, and advocacy cuts across the three. But also for the interest of this project, we also touched a bit on governance, because we realize that governance is a very important aspect in our society. And that's why we thought it's very important to bring it up, especially during this time of the general election of 2022. And realizing that persons with disability are not very involved when it comes to choosing leaders or even being involved in anything that touches around democracy and so forth.
The project was informed by the constitutional national values and principles of governance that inform inclusion of persons with disability amongst the marginalized communities, and also youth and women with disability who are mainly marginalized and denied opportunities to participate in election matters.
So our main concern or our main interest was to raise up the interest among persons with disability. But not only that, for them also to participate actively and also vie for seats. And in the past, we linked this with other projects which we had in the past, where we had persons with disability saying, I would really like to be a leader in my community.
Most of the time voting is done at schools, in most of the schools. So, and nothing much is done during the elections to ensure that a person with disability will have an easy time accessing those polling stations. Sometimes we feel it's meant for the fit, and it's sometimes even during the voting day, it's survival for the fittest. You can't go compete in a queue. You fear to be, maybe you might be pushed and maybe get hurt in the process.
Persons with disabilities do distance themselves from the election affair because the playground has not been so friendly. You find that there are issues with discrimination, stigma, and accessibility.
Lack of employment, lack of civic education among persons with disability, accessibility of information among by persons with disability.
My stream was at the far end where there was a ditch. I had to cross to the other side, and then I queued before someone got me to. And then considering the environment here in Kibera and the way sometimes it's fully packed and no one wants to give you chance to opportunity to just bypass them to go and vote.
I would say that the journey has been rough. I didn't find it very easy. The opponent that we were campaigning with, especially during primary election, there was he was a man full of hooliganism. So he could give me a lot of threats so that I can give up. But indeed, I didn't give up. I said that I have to struggle until the end of the tale. He was using that opportunity that I'm disabled so he can threaten me so that I can leave the race.
It is against the backdrop of these challenges that Action Network for the Disabled partnered with Open Society Initiative of East Africa to activate and promote the participation of youth and women with disability in the 2022 general elections. The best thing about the project is that it descended down to the grassroots to mobilize organizations of persons with disability in the localities, in the various counties that we are working with. This again made a strong statement. We called on persons with disability to come out in numbers. We taught them on their role as citizens of Kenya and their rights to participate in the elective processes.
Andy came also on board and preparing PWDs in the community. We are doing a lot of sensitization. I can remember last year when there was mass registration by the IBC. Andy came and started sensitizing. Of course, we are working together. SIA Disabled People Organization with Andy, working together, sensitizing PWDs in the community.
Andy has given us several people who are disabled. We come together, we share our issues. So I really appreciate. I think now from the opportunity that I normally get, I say that it's not me alone. It is all over. So I gain confidence so that this is the one that has helped me to vie in Sigomre wards.
We have partnered with Andy in different ways because we've been able to participate during the dissemination of information concerning voter education. We've been able to work with them in supporting persons with disability to be able to get the spaces in terms of getting employment in the IEBC. We've been able to provide voter education in different sub-counties because we work in the 7 sub-counties within Kisumu.
To achieve a holistic and broad outreach, it was essential that we engage several media platforms to ensure that the message reached even the far-fetched regions. Through radio, we held a series of talk shows aimed at encouraging persons with disabilities to register as voters as well as seek elective and appointive positions in the elections.
Inclusive participation mar jogo man gi ng'ol at any level. Oningo beni jogo man gi ng'ol nitiere e yore.
We've been working on the inclusion of persons with disability in electoral process. This is to want to enhance inclusivity of persons with disability in terms of participation in election process and to come out with the leadership amongst persons with disability in legislative sector.
In vernacular, we were working with the Lake Region radio stations to champion reach in the project implementation sites, which are Migori, Kisumu, and Siaya counties. Nationally, the project used Swahili radio stations to reach to populations nationally of persons with disability.
In addition, our project coordinator featured in several engaging and interactive panel discussions held by various media houses.
A lot needs to be done. There is need to move the narrative from saying that disability rights matter to what needs to be done to ensure that the rights are achieved.
We rode on this and we were actively engaged in national televisions to champion for inclusion of persons with disability in elections.
The population of persons with disability being 15% in a given population, this is a cohort that can even direct the face of a presidential elections.
We also held Facebook live shows that went a long way in activating and promoting the participation of youths with disability in the mass registration exercise and during the general elections conducted by the IEBC.
Working with Facebook live show just to target the younger generation because mostly they're involved in a lot of online presences and working with the social media platforms. So we worked a lot using the Facebook live shows.
To attract a multitude, Action Network for the Disabled, in collaboration with several organizations for persons with disabilities, arranged 2 major sporting events in which they invited IEBC officials to offer civic education to the participants. The events characterized by high adrenaline competitions that included a wheelchair basketball match facilitated by the Kenya Wheelchair Basketball Organization and a football match organized together with the Black Albinism and the National Council for Persons with Disability offered the perfect opportunity for IEBC to persuade the attendants to get involved in the Kenyan electoral process.
You are very important to IEBC, and that is why we have come here as a team to let you know that you are very important in the forthcoming elections. Our core values are, number 1, adherence to the rule of law. Number 2, inclusivity. We respect gender, race, class, and disability in the conduct of our electoral activities.
We have collaborated with the Office of the National Council Persons with Disability to ensure that they are part and parcel of this process. A number of challenges they have faced that when you are doing registration, that majority of them could not, depending on the nature of the disability, they could not access our polling station. So there are a number of things that we did. One is to engage, we did the stakeholders engagement. We were able to reach the National Council office so that we educate them on the process prior, before the exercise was supposed to begin. And then in terms of reaching out to the people with disability, we were able to do door-to-door movement.
During the voter registration, we noticed that we received a lot of help from IBC because our work was to identify or do mapping and then bring the IBC officials or clerks with the KIMS kit to do voter registration at places where PWDs were identified.
We made sure that IEBC had the information of the gaps of persons with a disability within Kisumu County.
The Commission also did some of the materials that for the voter education purposes. As you can see, there were some of the audios where they were able to even to listen to the audios. There were even some of the clips where you'll be able to see an interpreter. So in that process alone, we were able to achieve that good turnout amongst people with disability.
To achieve an all-round and successful program, Action Network for the Disabled found it prudent to work with several like-minded partners involved in the electoral process.
A lot of civil society organizations work in silos, so we wanted to break that. And that's why we now merged with other partners who are working in the same area and identify what is the unique point that Andy is bringing and what the other partners are bringing. And then when we came together, we had a bigger and larger impact.
The Kenya Inclusive Political Parties KIP program provided a platform for engagement between political parties, organizations of persons with disability, and electoral actors such as IEBC, National Gender Equality Commission, Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, and also Political Parties Liaison Committee. We partner formally with 13 political parties within the program and about 20 organizations of persons with disability, which Andy is part of the partnership. The main outcome of the program was to ensure that effective provisions are in place within political parties that can support and accommodate inclusion of persons with disability, and also that the political parties are able to respond to the needs of persons with disability.
We were able to have physical meetings with political parties, with duty bearers of the election processes. This again brought about enhanced disability awareness amongst political parties and also the duty bearers.
Consider inclusion of persons with disability in all government.
We had to ensure that we work with political parties. We identified key stakeholders that would really bring the change that we wanted. So we sat and strategized with the partners that we collaborated with, and we did some agreements, formal agreements with them. We did MOUs, we did position papers.
Owing to constant campaigns urging persons with a disability to register as voters, the number of persons with a disability registered as voters increased by 18%.
Okay, in terms of voter turnout of people living with disability, we can say yes, it has improved. And one of the things that have improved is the matter of the organization that deals with people with disability. As much as you have the different kind of disability, that one does not limit you to do your democratic right of voting. So that message that has been being passed across to them has been giving them the mandate to come out.
Similarly, there was a tremendous increase in the number of persons with a disability vying for elective positions in this election as compared to previous elections.
There's one of the constituency in Siaya County where an MCA in a wheelchair, was able to be elected as an MCA. So that is like a pride to them that it is possible that even us in having different disability, we can be able to do our democratic right by voting, vying different elective position.
Handy has given me a platform. I have to appreciate this one. That platform sometimes is difficult to get because through Handy, I'm now a member of County Assembly elect.
It is also important to note that more persons with a disability were offered jobs by IEBC during this election period than ever before.
Okay, persons with disability, especially deaf, were included in the training for the IBC exercise. So, for example, I joined the IBC training, then I learned different things, and we meet with different people. And also, persons with disability participated during the exercise of voting, and everything continued very well. So it was free and fair, and they were treating us very well.
IEBC, we worked closely with them. We asked them to give us positions so that we could work as civil educators, and also they gave us some good positions. We also observed the election.
Kisumu Central was one of the unique constituencies that we recruited different people with disability, and from the physical one, from the deaf, and they all participated because as an organization and IBC itself, one of the key or the core values about the inclusivity.
This time around, the number of elected persons with disability increased, an improvement that effectively boosts the persons with the disability representation.
This time round, we were so impressed by the number that turned out. It was around 83. And out of the 83, 23 passed the party primaries, and out of the 23, 8 got elected.
Although we do not take these and other achievements for granted, we acknowledge that more needs to be done for there to be total inclusion of persons with disabilities in leadership and governance for future electoral processes.
Governance is not only about the election, it is something that is always with us, and it's something that we need to embrace as an everyday event. So come 2027, I'm sure more results in terms of inclusive democracy or inclusive governance will be realized. Our expectations for the project was met. It was met because we realized a few successes, and also we added more on partnerships. We increased our level of partnerships, not only in Nairobi but in other counties where the project was implemented. We also have, we were also recognized by IEBC as one of their voter educationists. And we have a certificate which they've given us mandate to do civic education for the next 5 years. In addition to that, and overall, I think Open Society Initiative for East Africa has really helped us, or rather taken us to a new level where we feel as an organization we are ready to take up democracy as one of our key strategic goals come the next 5 years.